Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Mike Best Bodybuilding Show, brought to you by ProSups. We're over here at Independence Gym, and I'm sitting down with brand new pro Rod Gaines, man, right out of Phoenix, Arizona. Dude, it's always cool when you know people that turn pro and they're close to you and you've seen them in their journey.
Right.
So first and foremost, I want to congratulate you.
Thanks, man. I really do appreciate that.
I mean, I've competed with this guy. I've seen him compete. I've set up the bodybuilding shows with this guy.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've seen him in the trenches, and so I respect him, and I have a high level of respect for people that I think work their asses off to get to a goal.
Right.
And so I commend you again, dude.
I
think it's
that.
pretty awesome, and congratulate you. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about the pro card, getting it, and we're going to kind of do the reverse attack, and then we'll just kind of flow into some conversation here.
Absolutely.
But talk to me about getting the pro card. What's led up to turning pro, and how many shows did you do? I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but maybe we'll let the people know. How many shows did it take you to get into your pro status?
Just about 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I did 8 shows, and the team you made the 9th one. Where I wind up getting what I've been working so hard for the last 3 years, for almost 4 years.
Sure.
Now. Yeah.
And you've dedicated quite a bit of time. So to let the people know, Rod went over. You did the Team U this year.
Right.
And you did in the Masters class, which
Right.
was, you did I take it the 40 to.
Yeah, I did the 40 up.
Okay.
40 plus, yeah.
And when people, and we just were talking about this, but people talk about, and I'm 38, Rod's 42.
Yes.
And look at him. He looks like dude, you look great, bro. You have nothing, and I think that it's a testament of training and staying focused
Right.
and always keeping yourself active. I think that I'm a big advocate. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Absolutely.
And I think working out really enables people to keep toxins and things out of their body, and I think it's the closest thing you can get to the fountain of youth. So
pretty much that's the secret thing right there. When people ask, well, how do you stay so young or looking so young? That's like, man, I've been working out since I was maybe 10 years old.
Right.
Staying busy, staying athletic, doing something that's gonna constantly keep me in motion.
No, and there's something to be said for it. You look awesome, dude. And the man's getting better in his 40s, guys. So my thing is to say Rod's just like Sean Roden, just like myself, just like everybody else. I mean, we're getting better with age, and I think that that's something to be said about bodybuilding. Don't let your age be something that can distract you away from not just competing, but getting back in shape and getting yourself back to a point where, man, I ask people all the time, where did you feel the best at? Oh, I felt best at 21. You can get that back at 42,
Yes, you can.
38, 50, so it doesn't, age really isn't.
There's no limit to it.
You're right.
There's no limit on it. Not at all.
So tell me, man, I want to know about the first call-outs. So
Okay.
you're prejudging,
Yeah.
you get stuck, you get put in the center.
Yes.
What's that moment like?
You know what? I think doing it, you're in the midst of doing it, and for me, I don't know about anybody else, but I never realized that I'm in the middle until someone said something.
Well, did you go did they put you right to the middle,
No.
or they moved you around and then?
Actually, in that class, I was actually the last person to line up. So, when we came out,
So you were on the end.
I was all the way on the end.
Okay. I hate that spot too, by the way.
And but it's almost surreal because you're sitting there and you're just waiting, you're posing, you're waiting, you're posing, you're waiting, and eventually they call out that switch number, and you think, okay, was that my number that they called?
Right.
And so they called the guy that was in the middle, and then they called my number after, of course, for us to switch. And when they called it, I'm not thinking, oh, let me count how many's to the left and how many's to the right. I'm just like, okay, they switched me. I'm good with that because obviously they want to do a comparison or they want to see something.
Sure.
So I was pretty excited about that, and I just kind of went with the flow on that.
Right. And I looked at some of the pictures, and to me, you stood out to me by far. You looked like a pro out there. I thought your physique, and knowing Rod for the last, God, I don't know, man. I think he trains at Fitness One, which I think is you're at the one on 91st and
91st and Union Hills.
So if you guys haven't gotten a chance to train at any of the Fitness One gyms, I personally have trained there. They have great facilities, great equipment, and really are run by some good people. So you get a chance, pop on in there. IFBB Pro trains there, and there's several pros that train there. Dennis James, Troy Alves, Don Fernandez. I mean, That's one. The gym's packed, AZ's packed. It gets me excited to think about how many athletes we're putting out as pros. You know, Kelly Smith too just got his card.
Yes,
I mean, you guys are killing it. He's going to be coming on the show. Back to the call outs and stuff, and I've been in that position where you're right. You don't really kind of know, like you're kind of in the moment of competing.
Yes.
But then when you do get switched, I think there's a point, at least for me, that oh, dude, this is my 5 seconds to kick ass. You know what I mean? Like, it's time to suck it in, pull in your poses, because it's time to shine, you know? Right. And obviously you did that.
Right, yeah.
So you guys file off stage, and you're in the center, I take it, at that point, you know? And when you're walking off, I don't know about you, but when you're in that center and you've walked off, there is a relief there, you know what I mean? At some level, until, and I get, you know, nothing's ever set in stone, but... Right. 99% of bodybuilding shows is once you're in that center and you're walking off, you're in a good position, you know?
Right. I think for me, it was just the opposite. It kind of made me more nervous, and the reason that I say that is because right before that, I did the junior nationals, and in that show, I was in the same position, where they had me in the middle, never moved me. They moved a couple of people around. We filed off, and you know, the adrenaline just from doing shows, you know what that middle spot means. Right. And it's like, okay, I've worked hard, I'm there, it's just a matter of a weight gain now. Winds up, well, it turned out after that show I wind up actually getting third. Really? Even though I was in the middle position. So going into the Team U, I was kind of thinking, okay, was I there? And I'm talking to the other guys, and you know, they were like, oh yeah, they moved you in the middle. So it's like your heart starts pounding again, and like, oh, you know, God, don't let this be the same situation. And I think from my view, you look around and I don't think that you ever give yourself as much credit as you probably deserve looking at the other guys. You're like, okay, he's a little bit more conditioned than me, maybe a little bit more cut. So you never really truly think that, hey, listen, you know, I got this one in the bag just because of the spot that I was in. Right. But you definitely let it run through your head. But I think for me, I didn't get too caught up in it just because 2-3 weeks before that, I was in the same situation where it didn't turn out the way that I wanted to.
Well, and I think that's, I mean, to go on the cautious side, you know, you don't want to set yourself up to be disappointed again. So I think that's an interesting perspective that you just, you know, he experienced a little bit of, I guess would say a little bit of letdown. I mean, if you're in that first spot and you get the third spot, I mean, for me, I would probably go, oh, what happened? But then and my point is to be a little bit reserved when you were in that center spot coming out of it. So the night show comes, and it's a 2-day show, wasn't it?
Well, yes, it was, but for the men's physique and bodybuilding, it was just on that Saturday. They had the women, you know, the women classes and stuff on Friday. Right.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. Yeah. What is your opinion about that 2-day mix versus getting it all over with that day?
I think it has its pros and its cons to it. I think the way that they're going with most shows is they're splitting them up now, where they have more of the women classes the day before. They may do the women's bodybuilding and maybe one of the other classes in the men's bodybuilding the day before, and do all the other classes the next day. I think from a time perspective, splitting it up like that is kind of good, because of the simple fact you're not sitting there all day. Right. You know. Whereas if you're doing a 2-day show where everybody's doing the 2 days, where you do your prejudging on one day and your finals on the next day, that's a long time to sit in the condition that your body's in at that particular point. Right. So for me I think for me it's better when it is split, but when you're only competing on that one day. Right. Yeah. Right.
So, and which is an interesting perspective, and I've done it, you know, both ways, but I think, you know, I think that's a great way to look at it. I think the 2-day split makes the show you're not drug out for 10 hours at a bodybuilding show, but getting it done all in one round, you're in and out and you're done. So here's the night show, man. You're down to 1 and 2. What's going through your head at that point? And then what went through your head when they said, hey, new IFBB Pro? You know, you realize, hey, dude, I just won. I did this. You know, there's a level of accomplishment that has to come along with all that, and an overwhelming feeling as well.
I think my heart was pounding really, 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 really hard, and my leg was like kind of shaking, because it was like, you know, they had us lined up, and I think there were a total of maybe 9 of us, and they called out the top 3, and the first and second was left over, but there were still guys standing next to me.
Right.
The crazy thing is the guys went out and started, extending their hands, saying congratulations. And because I'm kind of a superstitious person, I'm like, don't do me like that, because they haven't called my name yet.
Right.
So I'm like, give it a second, let them at least say my name, and then, I'll shake your hand.
Sure.
But here's the crazy thing. I sat and I talked to some of my guys right after the show, or people that was in the audience, and it was kind of like, well, they was like, why'd you kind of push the guys off? And I had to explain the story to them that I'm a little superstitious, and if you're pre-congratulating me, it makes me nervous that they're not going to call me.
Right. And on the outside, they're probably thinking, look at this arrogant guy pushing this dude away.
Exactly.
Well, so at least you got an opportunity to let people know and square it up with everybody that, it was all nerves, man. You just wanted to let his name be heard, people. Come on.
So yeah, for me, just sitting there, and when they finally did say it, man, it was almost like a sigh of relief, but at the same time, it was surreal, because here's this thing that you've been working for like 3 or 4 years, and when it finally happens, it's like, I did it, because you do get those moments when it's like, well, will I get the opportunity to do that?
Right.
Will I ever get to put, that IFBB before my name?
Right.
And for it to happen, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people that's working for the same thing, and for you to have that opportunity, man, it's a blessing.
You just took the words out of my mouth. It is a blessing, because no matter what level or what bodybuilding, men's physique, women's physique, there's still a mystique that comes along with being an IFBB pro, and there's a level that you have to be at in order to get to that. And you're there, man.
Yeah.
And so, congratulations. That's
I appreciate
again,
it.
it's a pretty cool deal to deal with. I want to talk a little bit about on your personal side. Are you a father?
Yes.
So you're a father, right?
Yes.
And I like to talk, and I like to get the insight from parents and things like that still deal with this sport, because people, everyone complains about the dieting and this and that. I'm not a father, but I've seen over the years how much the sport can have an impact on family and those kind of things.
Right.
And so I guess I always like to get that perspective out there to let people know, how do you find that balance where, you're still being a dad and a family man and a husband, boyfriend, wherever that falls. How are you finding that balance? I mean, and what are you going to do now as a pro to be able to fight? Because your demands, you're a pro now. So now not only you're going to have more pressure on, so to say. Your family will deal with more pressure, so to say.
I think the biggest thing that I thought about first and foremost is almost getting the okay from the people that support you.
Sure.
Because it's definitely a time demanding, mind demanding, body demanding type of sport that you got to get the buy-in from your family too.
Sure.
Your kids, your significant other, whoever that person might be. So for me, the balance is always first and foremost getting their support with anything that I do.
Right.
Because without that one, it does make it very challenging for you. Because I've seen people in instances where either they're married or they have children, that they're getting pulled both ways or 3 or 4 different ways, which winds up causing a little friction either in your home or with your relationship with your significant other or your children or something like that. So the biggest thing for me is to, one, always have that conversation with them, to let them know kind of what your vision is,
sure,
what you're looking at doing, and making sure that you guys are, committed to doing the same thing. And once you get that commitment, I think they'll support you 100% all through the way that you're doing it, and that's what I've been getting. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. Well, let's real quickly, and you speak of the people that you have to connect with. Who are the people that, give them a shout out, dude? Who are the people that help you get to where you want to be? Because it takes a lot, man, to become a pro, and it's going to take a lot to continue to be a pro.
Right.
And you got to have those people.
So I would definitely first and foremost say the people that kind of got me interested, because I've always been an athlete, whether it be a swimmer or a football player, basketball, baseball, whatever the case may be. I've always done that, but I've never looked at this as something that I can potentially do.
Sure.
Because when you think about it, before the category that I'm in right now came about, it was bodybuilding.
Right.
It was the big guys, and it's like, holy crap, those guys are really big.
Yeah.
So and that even takes more dedication.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I know the average guy is ranging anywhere between 5 to maybe 8-10 years before you're even in the condition to be able to compete at that type of level.
Right.
That's a big commitment.
Right.
You know, so my mindset was, that probably wouldn't happen for me. But I started talking to Dennis James, who also works out at 91st and Union Hill.
And Dennis James in the house, been on the show before. Dennis is awesome too, man. If he's a kind of an icon around here now.
Yes.
And he's really established his own team and everything. And I think if you know Dennis, he's always going to give it to you straight up too. You know
Absolutely,
what I mean?
And that's what he did, and I appreciated that because one, he was approachable.
Right.
You know, which guys that are normally in kind of a position like that, they're not where you can just walk up to them and have a conversation.
It is a selfish sport with a lot
absolutely.
of them,
And he opened up and he gave me a lot of input and information and kind of challenged me to one of the trainers that was working in the gym with me because he was actually competing in the men's physique category too. And he was like, "Oh man, you can do better than that dude." And by me being a natural athlete, it was like, I can buy into that. And you're absolutely right. So big up to him for even mentioning that, because without him saying anything, I probably
not have been
never done it. Man.
Wow,
never.
You're that DJ. You got this man his IFBB Pro card. Another one, man. This guy.
And then Troy Alves. He's been a really, really good person to me because he's allowed me to ask him questions.
Sure.
Being kind of young and new in the sport, he answered a lot of questions for me, gave me a lot of input, gave me a lot of insight on a lot of different things. So I commend him and give him a shout out as well. And definitely,
Troy's coming on the show too, by the way, really soon. Troy Alves, because we're talking about your show coming up.
Yeah, he got one coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, man.
Absolutely, I think
a whole nother angle, which I think is really cool. That
man,
he's going to do something a little bit innovative to be able to bring a different angle and a different opportunity for people to compete. So big props to you, Troy.
Right.
And that's two big IFBB Pro names, man. That are, I think it's awesome, dude. That what you said is they're approachable and they're good people, and that's what they can't ask for more than that.
Absolutely, and they're always willing to help, man.
Right.
So I always appreciate to have the opportunity and the ability to actually have a conversation with those
Sure.
guys. Because the reality is, I'm still kind of doing the sport.
Right.
There's still a lot for me to learn, and I try to emulate some of the things that they've done with some of the the new athletes that may come in, or even some of the older ones that's in the sport. That I'm open for questions, man.
Sure.
I'm open to try to help out as much as I can, or even give back to the sport as well myself.
Right.
Definitely shout out to Heather for helping me out and being supportive as far as with my food. I know I can be a kind of a little cranky sometimes.
She could probably attest to that. And it's the significant others seem to take the brunt end of this thing all the time. So it takes a hell of a person, male or female, whoever you're supporting, to do that, and because it's a selfless act, because it's all about that one person all the time, and it gets kind of you get sick of it, man. But I give Heather big props, and I give every person that has a significant out there competing, even this weekend. Stick by your partner, man. It's their dream, and it's going to come back. And if a true partnership, it comes back both ways. So
absolutely. And then again, we talked about my kids, just them being supportive as well. When I ask them to come out, they'll come out, or they're curious.
Sure.
They're seeing, okay, my dad's still doing
Dad's
stuff.
Still got it, man.
So it's like I give them a shout out too, because they're very interested in the things that I do and want to be supportive as well.
Sure.
So.
And you're a huge influence on them right now too, and I think that you're not only the athletic side to keep them, keep kids active. I think that's one of the hugest problems is that we have an obese nation, and because kids are so busy with, they have that freaking dementia with the freaking video game thing, man, going on. So but I commend you, man. It sounds like you have your head on straight too, and exactly in the short amount of time that you've been in this sport, that the effects that it can have positively and negatively on you. And so it sounds like you're working through those pretty good.
Definitely trying to keep my head screwed on tight, and making sure that I'm commending the people that need to be commended.
Sure.
Because it's not just a me effort, it's a we effort.
Right.
So
right. And Rod, you train over at Fitness One.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that those guys get a shout out too. If you get an opportunity to go over and visit, man. I mean, again, it's a great gym. They're a clean gym. They got good people. They're run by good people. So get an opportunity to pop on in there. Let's talk a little bit about when you're thinking about competing, dude. I know we talked just briefly about it, but you're considering maybe doing the show here, the Felicia Romero, the Pro-Am coming up?
Well, here's my thing. I had everything all planned out. So I said, I had this year planned out as far as what shows that I wanted to try to enter. And each one was tingent on what I did on the show previous.
Right.
So here's the reality for me. Team U wasn't on my list of shows to do. But because of the simple fact I did so well in the
Junior nationals.
Junior nationals, it was suggested, you know, since they were so close together, to go in and compete in that one. So that's what I did. My plan was once I actually got it, you know, because I was being positively thinking, that I was going to take some time off, because, you know, going from, say, at the amateur level to the pro level, the package that I wanted to bring, I wanted to be far superior than the one that I brought before. But it's been suggested, you know, I'm in a good position right now, and that I should go ahead and get that pro debut out of the way, and especially because it's in our hometown, to do the Felicia Romero show here in Arizona. So well,
I would like to see it, man. I want to see you do your pro debut here. I'm going to be competing on the amateur side on that show.
Right.
And so I would absolutely be honored to be able to see you out there and step on stage as your first time. Not to mention, I think there's something to be said when you just said it yourself, you're in the right place.
Right.
And if the stars are aligned, you know, it sounds cliche, take advantage of it, man. You're at home, things are happening, you're in shape, you're ready to roll. You got the right mindset, and you come off a big victory, and so that can lead to big things, man. And I expect to see some big things coming up.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm taking the heat of advice that's been pouring in, and getting set to do the show in November.
Nice, man.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Well, we both are going to start dieting very soon. It seems like we were talking a little bit about crazy macros and the food that I've been eating.
Yeah,
that's another conversation. Anybody else that you want to give a shout out to before we get the heck out of here?
My team and my coaches that are competing in the USA's in Vegas this weekend. Team Fidelis, good luck to you guys.
That team's going off, man, and it's growing like crazy too. So congrats to Team Fidelis. That's how it's. You guys, man, pros coming left and right, dude. Left and right.
So he's doing some really good work right now, man, and we got some really good athletes that have their heads screwed on straight, and you know, and working real hard. So I wouldn't be surprised to see at least 2 or 3 more pro cards coming out of the show this weekend.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
That would be phenomenal.
Yep. AZ, dude, it's definitely the spot to be. IFBB pros coming out of every freaking division you got, man. I guess the sun does attract the beautiful bodies and the big people. With that being said, guys, I want to thank you, man, for coming on the show. Congratulations.
Thanks,
and, dude, I'll be following you on Facebook, and I'll be following you on the social media, and I'm going to see you in 15 weeks, man.
Yeah, I'll be there.
And it's always good to know that you got somebody that got your back there, too. So it's an honor, man, and congratulate you again. And I'm going to see some big things coming out of you. Guys, thank you very much for watching another episode. I want to thank my sponsors, ProSups, Six Pack Bags, of course, Independence Gym, man. You guys get an opportunity to come on down. Please come down to the gym. Be looking for the announcements to come up with the 3 new places that we're going to be opening up. If you mention the Mike Best Bodybuilding Show, you're going to train for free. Come down and check it out. Of course, Lana's Egg Whites, Hot Bods Clothing, My Oatmeal, the list goes on. I can't say enough about being in a position to be blessed. The backdrops still are coming. Look, August 3rd, there's an after party at the W coming. Look for Miles Niesel to be putting that up. The Mike Best Bodybuilding Show will be in the house. Me, Big Zach Rand, we're going to be rocking it out, and I want to see the beautiful people coming out. Thank you all again. Stay tuned for more episodes of the Mike Best Bodybuilding Show coming at you.